video that you are about to watch documents Ken Mills being exposed to multiple facets by the Public Safety and Justice Affairs Committee. It also sheds light into the serious nature of Gary Brack, whom was fired immediately after this recording for comments that he made against Ken Mills.
Welcome, Mr. Mills. Reason I scheduled this was there was a quote-unquote mission-critical request on nurses at the Board of Control not long ago, which was kicked to committee today. And I appreciate the members of the Board of Control doing that. I think this is the proper place for that. I'm a little concerned that it got to a mission-critical situation, and I would like for you to explain how we had gotten to that point.
Good afternoon. Ken Mills, the Director of Regional Corrections. With the jail project of opening Bedford Heights, HR had made offers to RNs to come on board, and for various reasons, a couple weeks before we opened, they wound up all of them declining at the end, which put us in a bind for having medical at Bedford Heights been able to transfer to put inmates out there.
Okay, I don't want to interrupt you. I want you to go, but various reasons is
pay, and just they got other jobs, etc.
okay. And on the pay issue specifically, because I know that's a sticking point, Bedford was in the pipeline for quite a while, and we had the grand opening, but we had issues with nursing over there. Did that just come up? Did the pay just come up, or have we been dealing with this all along?
The pay's been an issue for a while.
Have we dealt with that?
And they're in the process. We've been trying to deal with it. HR is doing analysis now and looking at doing the increase to the wages. So that's
Bedford's been open how long?
Bedford's been open since April 6th.
And we've been somewhat understaffed at the main jail for how long?
I don't know about the staffing. Yeah, it's been a while. They've been understaffed.
Okay, and we're just looking into that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead. And I'm not really looking to place blame, but I'm just wondering why, historically, if we've been below market, knowing that we had the amount of inmates that we have, and now expanding and trying to market our product, which will be to save cities, communities money by taking their prisoners and taking care of them. I would imagine part of our marketing is that we're going to take care of them at or above the services that you provided. How can we be out there asking communities to participate in a regional program when we are not ready?
When we get these nurses coming in full time, we've kind of in medical spheres to answer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding is we've passed the hemorrhaging of the nursing situation until we get some more in. You're absolutely right. We need to have the people in. We need to get medical care out. We need to be able to staff to manage what the need and the people coming in.
See, the concern that I have, and I'll let my colleagues express their concerns. The concern that I have is, and again, this is historical. The problems that we've had at the jail were historical. We came in, we thought we cleaned it up with the advance of and the graciousness of Metro to come on board. And I know some people aren't all in with that. We are, and I think that's the most important thing, is that we are. I just wonder. Well, you say that we're past that critical time. Are you talking about that we've just finally okayed for nurses to be paid at standard, at the going standard rate?
That
I understand
process,
it's in the pipe.
when I say I'm talking about the people on board, with this group coming on board, we should be staffed at a level to where we can handle it till we bring more people on. Yes, we do need to look at the recruiting initiatives. Yes, we do need to make some changes, and that's ongoing, trying to make sure that we're we're providing people the right incentives and packages and to get the right people on board.
Who does our recruiting?
Talent acquisitions.
Okay, they're clearly not doing a good job. When I hear the words mission critical, nursing staff, board of control needs to be done, I get very concerned that the ball has been dropped. And I don't think we're in a position, going historically back to the concerns that some of those that have been jailed, that have run into unfortunate situations that have cost this county multiple millions of dollars. We want to avoid that, and we have been avoiding that ever since Metro came on board. Wouldn't that be a wise way to go, or no?
I can't answer that question. Medical doesn't work for me. It's
No, from your opinion, you're the
my
director.
opinion is I believe we actually discussed it with them about doing it. I'm for, as a director, I'm for any option that gets the staff there that I can have the medical care.
Okay.
I mean, that's my answer to that question. I'm for any option that brings in. I mean, that's my answer to that question. I'm for any option that brings in the people to provide the care I need. Because I'm operationally on the security side, I need to move forward.
Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First question, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time looking back, but need to really understand how we got in a position other than what you've said already, unless somebody else is in a better position to answer the question. Who's in charge? I mean, how in the world did we get into a place where we have to come in and ask for an emergency allocation for something that we've known for months and months and months that we were going to do? I mean, how do we go out and sell this idea to people? It doesn't appear like we know that we've got a good game plan here, or that we know what we're doing. And what happened? Who's in charge? Who was in charge of making sure these nurses were ready for this jail?
I mean, I'd have to defer that to Chief Taylor.
Well, then I'll have to hear from Chief Taylor. Do I understand this correctly, that it seems to me that you were given an inadequate budget to do what needed to be done? Is that fair to say, or is that not fair?
The budget we worked with was a budget that had been allocated of the general budget.
What was the basis for the numbers of the budget in the first place? Were you involved in determining, or whoever should have been, some professional, somebody who knows about this? Who was involved in determining what the level of resources were that would be needed to do this?
I was not involved in getting the overall number. It was given to me by Director Mills. In the budget that he had set up for Bedford Heights.
And how did you determine that budget, Mr. Mills? Excuse me, sir.
The budget for medical came up with meetings with Metro Health and the medical director and everybody about what we would need to do.
And so you and who made this decision about this budget? Was it adequate? Did it turn out to be adequate?
Yes.
It did turn out.
This isn't a budget issue, nurses out there. The money's there for them. It's the being able to recruit them to come on board.
A written reasoning why they didn't take the position, and the main reason in that was the pay or lack thereof.
What's the relationship, do you think, in your opinion, Mr. Mills, with the medical staff and the sheriff's office in the county?
My opinion of it?
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, they're working with us at Bedford Heights and when I set it up, it's working.
Are they happy?
Metro Health?
No, are the folks that are working in the jail, the RNs, the LPNs, medical staff, the doctors, the chief medical experts? Do they have concerns, and do they express those concerns with you? We have other incentives in Cuyahoga County, starting with the PERS and some of our benefits that I think are very attractive. So even though the job may not be super attractive, there are other things that attract good people. But it seems the dollar figure is the holdup, and it was a year and a half ago, and we're just hearing about it now. Do you understand my concerns?
Yes, sir, I understand your concerns, but this has been talked about, and again, I'm not directly related to this, so they don't come to me and talk when they go through their chain of command. But I can tell you, and without getting specific, we've talked about this for quite a while, trying to get it raised up and to figure out a way to fix the problem. I know those discussions.
If you've been doing that, you hit a roadblock. What was the roadblock? Or, more directly, who was the roadblock? And if you don't tell me who the roadblock is or what the roadblock is, then you're the roadblock. Now, who is it?
I don't know. I mean,
So somebody told you,
I'm not sure.
you put it into the system, and it stopped a year and a half ago to the point where we came to a situation that was mission critical. Somebody stopped it. The department stopped it. An individual stopped it. Somebody, I would assume above you, stopped that. Who, what, did that? If you're not willing to answer, that's fine, because I'll find out. Okay. So you think the relationship with the staff is okay?
So my name is Jane Platt, and I'm the Chief of Staff at Metro Health, and Gary Brack is here. He's our nursing supervisor.
Yeah, Gary
Brack.
Oh, Gary Brack. Gary, my question to you is the question to the director. What is the relationship as far as the medical staff and the Sheriff's Department of Cuyahoga County?
It's very tumultuous. The Metro Health staff, which runs medical operations for the jail, we have a great relationship with Sheriff Pinckney, with the chief. Ken Mills is kind of the obstruction in this whole process.
What do you mean by that?
So I have copies for everybody, but we have multiple hiring requests that were signed off by the sheriff several years ago. The sheriff had approved these positions. Ken Mills had the positions contacted. I don't know if it was OBM or who he contacted, but the positions never went through, so we could never hire. There was a comment by Director Mills stating that talent acquisition is the problem at the jail. It's not. We have candidates when we get the positions approved. We've been requesting staff for a long time. It's clearly evident to us that there's been a nursing crisis at the jail. The pay is definitely a factor with recruiting nurses to the jail. However, the relationship that we have with Mills is, Metro Health is constantly left out of the planning. We had no knowledge of prior to Bedford, prior to Euclid. Most of the meetings that were held with Metro Health, we requested those through Brian Soleil or the chief. There seems to be, it's almost a form of like passive aggressive behavior. What the director tells us is not kind of what pans out. The hiring requests we have for Euclid, those still haven't been filled. We've had 6 vacancies at the county, at the main jail, which we still don't have. And they're onboarding for May 29th. We have 2 RNs and 2 LPNs. They're tentatively scheduled. Really still no staff for Bedford or Euclid at all.
I want to find out where the problem lies. And it may not just be Mr. Mills, it may be, I don't know, we'll get to the bottom of that. But our hiring practices here in the county are archaic at best.
Going rates. Our numbers that we're allowed to hire kind of seem to constantly change. We're told that we can hire this many, and then we find out that those positions aren't available anymore. There's just, I think going forward, it would be great to have just more open communication. We're kind of excluded from meetings, we're excluded from the high-level decision-making that we should be included in. Specifically, Dr. Tallman, who's the medical director, is kind of told what to do by Ken Mills, where it should be the medical director from Metro Health should be making these decisions as they affect the inmate's health. Dr. Tallman should be setting the standards of what he deems appropriate for staffing. And there's kind of this, sometimes we're told that, Ken Mills runs the jail, but then sometimes we're told, no, the chief, you guys report to the chief, but then there's kind of this interjection throughout. So it's really kind of it's a difficult situation to be in for Metro Health.
I guess, my concern is here that we seem to be making this, for some reason, this is more difficult than it needs to be. We've got, a public hospital here that we've been working with forever. This business of trying to contract things out to get around that for some reason is not something I understand. Why are we making this more difficult for ourselves? And I guess the reason my antennas are up is because, last year during the budget, Director Mills was pushing a proposal to privatize the medical care at the jail. And what I'm concerned about here is that at the bottom line, we're talking about money and we're not talking about the services that we're providing. And if we're not willing to spend the money, if we're not able to spend the money, then we shouldn't be in the business of selling these services. One or the other. And I'm very concerned that our decisions are being driven by the effort to not spend money rather than the more important things that should be taken into consideration if we're going to talk about doing something as serious as providing medical care in jails. And I'm not sure everybody understands how serious this issue is. It's not a line item somewhere. It is really a life and death situation that, if not handled properly, could lead to very big trouble. So I have to get that off my chest because I think something's standing in the way here that doesn't need to be standing in the way. And I'll leave it at that for right now.
When you had asked if Metro Health could work with the county, we most certainly can. I just want to reiterate what Jane's comment. Sheriff Pinckney and Chief Taylor have been excellent to us. Every time we have any type of concerns, immediate responses, great relationships. I think going forward, if the chain of command is the chief and the sheriff are in charge of medical services, and that's who we are supposed to be dealing with, I most definitely think that we have a great relationship. And I think going forward, if that is made clear, I don't think there's going to be an issue. If that kind of sums that up.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Blake? Brack? Could you come up too? So then you must have to deal, at some point, Metro must have to deal with Chief Mills or Director Mills for the operations and security. Okay. So
we kind of find out after the fact of things. Like, as I expressed to you before about our redistribution of officers in the main dispensary, Dr. Tallman was very upset that he was not involved in the planning stages of reducing our numbers of officers. There's no way to know without talking with Dr. Tallman if we see 10 inmates a day or 500 inmates a day, and our staffing should be based on those needs of the inmates. We want to take good care of the inmates. That's what our role is. We can't do that if we don't have the necessary security staff to provide us with that. So we do have to work in collaboration. I guess our frustration is that we don't have any say in anything. Everything is kind of told to us after that. These high-level decisions are being made, and we're told that this is what's happened. This is what you're gonna do. And as Jane said before, there's a lot of a paper trail here of these kind of conversations, and I feel that some things that have been said aren't truthful today. So I think that it would be helpful to kind of review some of these things. Director Mills does control the security budget, but there's also this imagined authority over health services that kind of happens a lot. And when we have a good relationship with the sheriff and we have, we okay with the sheriff, and then there's these kind of roadblocks that come up. And so it's very difficult for Metro Health to have to deal with those without having any kind of, we're treated as a third party and not as a partner within the institution.
So are there regular meetings for when I guess there's a keep up with the employees, with the sheriff and
There is. So the sheriff holds meetings. So part of that, this is my personal opinion, but the level of disrespect I see in these meetings by Ken Mills to the sheriff, the eye rolling, the body language, the body movements, I've never in my professional career witnessed that. I think that there's a total disrespect for the sheriff's position within the correction center. To the sheriff, the eye rolling, the body language, the body movements, I've never in my professional career witnessed that. I think that there's a total disrespect for the sheriff's position within the correction center.
Mills to the sheriff, the eye rolling, the body language, the body movements. I've never in my professional career witnessed that. I think that there's a total disrespect for the sheriff's position.
You're in charge of security. Why were you at the budget?
Because the sheriff was, I requested it, I
Okay.
needed it for the operation.
Okay.
And the sheriff was unavailable, so I presented it.
I thought, and if you can recollect back to that time when there was, in my opinion, a coup on Metro, I think this council, to a member, made it very clear how we felt, what we expected, and we're hearing some disturbing things today, and on a certain level, I apologize that people are saying things with you here. I don't know if you want to respond. I don't know if it's wise for you to respond. We'll deal with these in a different setting. I think that's more appropriate. But I can tell you that I'm disappointed at how this happened, why we're even here. Metro is going nowhere if any of us have anything to say about it. So if that's not clear as a bell, I don't know what more I can do for you, but that's the way of the West. That's what's going to happen. As Ms. Platten said, that I think any discussions on Metro completely taken over would be a long, drawn-out thing, many moving pieces, parts there. I understand that. But after what we've all just experienced right now, and honestly, legally, and I'm not an attorney, I'll look at my friend here, I think the county is now fully on notice in a public hearing that we are mission critical in the hiring of medical staff at the main jail at Bedford, and evidently not Euclid, but we have problems. How anybody in this county can go out and sell that to a community in Cuyahoga County to come bring your folks here and pay us money, they're beside themselves crazy. We need to clean this up. And if we need to pay nurses more and doctors more or pharmacists more, maybe we need to look at what we're charging to take other folks prisoners. We're not in this to lose money. We're in this to help communities out to save money in the end, but we don't want to lose any money. So if we're going to be up in $7 an hour to draw good nursing, I'm all for that, and I would hope that you would be too. But this thing is broken. It needs to be fixed. I look to the sheriff in the back to do that and to report back to this committee when it is fixed, because I think we all see a very broken chain of command here. And I'm not blaming you, but we'll talk privately.
We'll talk privately.